All right. Welcome to Midtown Connects, sponsored by MidtownMemphis.org. We're a community-driven nonprofit promoting economic development, cultural activities, and the historic integrity of Midtown Memphis. I'm Porsche Stevens. I serve on the executive committee for MidtownMemphis.org. And this afternoon, Midtown Connects is excited to have a progressive conversation with the founder of a Latino owned, minority owned, full service marketing agency located in Cooper Young. We'd like to welcome Ray Rico from Ray Rico Freelance. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, Portia. I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while. It's been a while. The last time we saw each other was over in Crosstown. You did some wonderful work over there. Well, you're still doing some wonderful work over there, marketing a couple of businesses. I went to your website, just trying to get prepared for our conversation. And I so appreciate your agency taking a stance on keeping the money local, using local vendors, from printing to production to looking for local talent to help do business here, utilizing local talent and creating jobs. If you would briefly just share with us and our audience a little background on Ray Rico Freelance.
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here to speak to everybody. Ray Rico Freelance was something that was born out of my duplex in 2007 when I was literally tired of working for a company that didn't value me and appreciate me and give me the equity that I thought I saw in myself. So I took a chance and I got a loan for a Mac computer and I started with one client in 2007. Over the years, we've kind of progressed and evolved, adding different elements of marketing, social media, websites, and then over the years, adding new people, employing new Memphians, keeping that talent local, and working with folks in Memphis in our area to promote all the good work that we're doing and these small businesses that we all interact with. We've been in business now for over 14 years, which I'm very happy to say that, and I owe everything that we've done to my team and the community that we work in. So we are a digital first agency. We manage lots of social digital accounts, and I know with many folks who have had to kind of shift what they're doing with their business model, they've looked at what they could do digitally. So we've been a great resource for people, even a sounding board to kind of help come up with some ideas. And we do lots of web and development work. We do lots of community work too. So we're very LGBT focused and Latinx focused to make sure that we give those audiences and those folks the right voice and the proper voice. So that's who we are and that's who we represent. And we're happy to be here in Midtown Memphis.
No doubt, no doubt. And we're glad that you guys are here. So that's a nice segue to talk about marketing when it comes to COVID. Did your business have to shift? A lot of businesses really have an opportunity to kind of reestablish themselves. For some that may have been struggling before COVID can then, reestablish themselves. And even the ones that, maybe having a challenging time right now. What would be your first suggestion to, say, a startup or someone who may want to put their brand out there?
I think the first thing I want to say is small business owners, I see you. I know what y'all going through. We feel it. You're not alone, and there are folks out there that have gone through some experiences that can help you. So tuning into this is a good start. It's a good place to kind of use those resources to leverage your network. I think really, did our business shift? We did. We lost a lot of business, so we had to figure out ways to recoup that business. But I think one of the things that we did was we took a look at what was happening in our community, our restaurants, our bars, our local places, our bowling alleys, our kids centers, where they go and play and jump and climb walls and things like that. It shifted our culture drastically. And so what we did was we tried to listen and understand what the shifts were going to be, what the shutdowns were going to be, how things were affecting folks. And I think in that we came up with some strategies to offer assistance to people. We offered free website audits. We offered free social media audits just to basically give you a snapshot of where your business was and no ask. It was literally here's what your business is. Now you can use these tools and this information to update it, you know? So I think that piece was something that we did wisely. And I think it's helped us with our ties with our community folks, our organizations, our neighborhoods, our other fellow business owners. Is it tighten that strength and that bond between because we all looking out for each other right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. So, I mean, we had to shift, and right now we're still, you know, experience what that shift is. And, you know, we're still striving to come up with some tactics and some ideas so that folks moving forward can get back to their operation of business. It's not going to be the same old. It's not going to be the same as it was before.
Right.
And that's what you have to do. Like, you know, for my example, like I've had to evolve over 14 years. If I was doing the same thing I was in 2007, I probably wouldn't be here. So you have to be open to evolving also, and seeing what others are doing and looking in other areas, looking at other industries and seeing how they might overlap with what you do.
So I know people are really leaning heavily on technology. You know, how do you guys manage that? I mean, you know, that is like the one thing we need most at midtownmemphis.org is somebody to manage our website, right? So share with us, like, can you simplify that?
Yeah, so digital careers, I guess I will say, are very sought after right now. They are becoming one of the most new acquired skills because it's out of necessity, right? So if a small business owner doesn't have the overhead or the capacity to pay for somebody to do that, guess what? They're doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things. I think, you know, the tools that are out there are lots of great tools that are free or they're low cost that can help you manage those things. But yeah, you have to start thinking digital first to keep things rolling, and business will come back. Business will bounce back. People are going to get real sick of screens if they're not already, and they're going to want to pick up that newspaper or that magazine or go somewhere and have live entertainment or music where it's not something that they're streaming or watching online. People are going to get sick of that if they're not already. So I see a shift in culture also in Memphis and that happening. I know, you know, as a trend, because we also publish Focus Magazine, I try to watch how trends are affecting publications.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily we're niche in that we have a special place in Memphis and in Nashville. So I'm keeping my eyes open to how that can affect, you know, things later on down the line. You know, people are very mobile friendly and they've got everything at their fingertips.
Man, let me tell you, can we have that conversation? Like, I get texts where people are basically selling me. It's a marketing tool that they're using through texting me. Like, how did they get my number?
Databases. I mean, a lot of folks have had their numbers for years and years, and they just wind up on databases. And there are programs where you can opt out, but unfortunately, they just don't work like they should. I guess that's one of the tricks to marketing is you can really find ways to get your message in front of people, whether it be a webinar like this or a website or a text message or an email, or maybe it's a Facebook ad or a Google ad, or you're watching Hulu and there are ads inserted there. There's ads everywhere you go, really. So I think it may be something that we're more mindful of because we're so digital and virtual now. It may be something that's just being seen or noticed more. But I know a lot of businesses are targeting folks digitally because more of us are working from home. You know, we're using the tools that we've got to stay safe at home. And I think that's where the target's shifting really is in digital.
Yeah, no doubt. So I see you have your Focus t-shirt on. You mentioned about, you know, Nashville. I know your business is expanding. Share with us what's going on with the publication.
Yeah, sure. So Focus has been in production. We started in Memphis in 2015, and we've grown since then. And what we are doing now is strategically working with the Nashville LGBT Chamber to develop some interest in a local LGBT chamber affiliate for Memphis. We've got some great organizations, big companies. We've got great culture in these companies. I think there's definitely room to grow that network of businesses who stand for inclusiveness.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that Focus is trying to be at the forefront of, because that's one of our values, is to amplify the voices of LGBT communities and their allies. So, and what we're doing, really working with Nashville, is identifying legislature through advocacy, really, that is not inclusive, that may be damaging to businesses, that may affect tourism, that can affect revenue, that can affect traffic. So we're really taking a look at this and understanding what what's in these bills and these laws. And for those that are watching, I did share some information with Porsche if you're interested in reading more about these anti-harassment bills that are being brought to legislature. Diversity is good business, and exclusivity where you have language that excludes people is not good business. Mm-hmm. So I'm very passionate about the inclusivity piece of what these bills and what this is trying to protect, especially for businesses. Yeah. I know lots of folks go through their day and they have so many things that they have to kind of keep on task with. So being able to at least have a resource that will inform you, I think, is important. So that's why Focus is important to me here, and I think it's strong in our community.
So share with us, like some marketing suggestions for small businesses that may want to really support and develop a more culturally diverse workforce.
I think it needs to start at the top. I think that if you are deliberately trying to be more inclusive, I think you need to understand what that means. It's not just our race. It's not our ethnicity, our sexual orientation. It goes beyond that. It goes to disabilities, those that you can see and those that you can't. It goes to learning deficits. It goes to a gamut of things. So understanding how you communicate with folks and how your language is at your office, in your handbook, how you speak to your customers. People notice those things. So make sure you ask if that's, how people prefer to be communicated with, and have those conversations internally. Accept change too. If somebody brings something up to you, don't be defensive about it. Ask questions and understand why it may upset that person or what you can do to improve it.
Yeah, Midtown is such an eclectic community, which we love. Considering the theater community, there's so much culture in Midtown, but I'd love to see it really promoted, where it's like really colorful, right? So that's really the direction I'm trying to go in this conversation, from your perspective as a, marketer, what would you do to really kind of help promote Midtown as being this really cool, eclectic community?
Yeah, you said it. It's got to be part of your culture. It can't be something you do every June where you put your pride flag out and you are happy and proud for your LGBTQ folks.
Right.
It can't be something that you celebrate in February because you're celebrating Black History Month. It can't be raising women in March because that's Women's Heritage Month. You have to raise these voices all year long and keep it in your culture, keep it ingrained. Talk about them with your employees and your staff, and celebrate your successes with things. I think too many times we get bogged down with the things we do wrong, and you don't accept the things you do right. So you have to celebrate those tiny successes, no matter how small they are, because those little things are what make change.
Yeah. So we met each other a few years back. You were doing marketing for the Dog House, which is a really cool restaurant near Crosstown Concourse. It's right across the street, and also the pumping station. So the LGBTQ community is definitely represented well in the Crosstown neighborhood, right? So how's Dog House doing?
We're hanging in there. We're trying to come up with tactics and ideas to keep business going. Just like many other bars and restaurants, we're hurting too. And we opened at a time where we weren't open very long before COVID struck. So we didn't necessarily have the luxury to go through what some businesses have withstood in the past. So, but it's, we're hanging in there. We're doing everything we can, just like others are.
Good deal. Good deal. So have you guys, you're at what, 50%? You're following the CDC guidelines as well?
Absolutely, yes. We have dine in, we have carry out, and we order, or we have orders online through DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Bite Squad. Um, and then, on Facebook and Instagram, we have our feeds that have our specials and things like that.
So Cash Saver is a client of yours as well.
They
So
were.
they were,
They
yeah.
were.
So I
Yeah,
noticed they're not hurting at all.
yeah, they restructured some, and yeah, they have a unique place in the market just because grocery stores were necessary, But yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I still see your name on the little circular, so that's why I thought you guys were still doing business with each other. So what about other restaurants in the Midtown neighborhood or the Midtown community are you serving?
We're serving more, I think, through the magazine probably than the agency. That's one of the areas of business that really got cut because, restaurants are trying to pay their people and not marketing expenses. So unfortunately, that's one area where we can grow and develop and help businesses strategize ideas.
Yeah.
But we understand the place that they had to be when they had to make those changes. So.
Right. So for the startup out there, working at the kitchen table, doing a bang out job, what would you suggest to them when it comes to putting your business out there?
I think plan, network, and understand what you're getting yourself into. It's never easy, but there's always lessons to be learned. And if you take a lesson as something that you learn, it's always an opportunity, never a regret. Talk to your friends, talk to your peers. I think my best advice is you're going to have a fear about something, or you're going to be a little anxious about it, but make sure you're making these choices for the right decision. And the fear is always going to be there. So you have to do it with the fear.
No doubt.
Trust it, yeah.
So can we spend a little time talking about content? Like, when you guys are like coming up with a strategy on promoting a business, how important is the content that you're using?
It's very important. I think being able to identify your story and, what you're about is the core of how that marketing strategy is going to come together. It's going to be drivers to your messaging. It's going to help you identify your audiences, even down to identities and personas that you can target and market that way. I think understanding who your story is, what your mission is, and what your values are vital. And I think some folks go through that the wrong way and they do it at the tail end. And I think they have to learn, this is not who I want my company to be, or this is not who we serve, or this is not the products that make us the most money. I think understanding those things on the front end definitely help.
How about when it comes to collecting that data? How do you go by collecting data once you've, put this strategy together, and then people want to know, how do I know that I'm getting a return on my investment, right? You're able to show them the data. So what tools do you use for that?
Yeah, so collecting data and information depending on how you're wanting to use it. So if you're coming up with a plan, a business strategy, and an overview plan for a brand, we use, Google Docs. We use Basecamp, which is a project management tool. There are lots of tools out there that you can use to help organize your business and to kind of keep things together and collective. It also helps when you are able to collaborate with other folks, because some people are working with multiple people or teams or groups. And having centralized documents, not things that are in your email, that if I make a change on it and I send to somebody, it's not going to be there, or they may not capture the edits. Utilize those tools, and most of them are free, or they're, again, very cheap for small businesses. I can give you a list after this that you can share, Porsche, with some free and available tools for small businesses that can help keep things organized and collaborative.
Oh, I appreciate that. So I see some board members on the call, checking to see if you guys have any questions for Ray Rico Freelance. Let me check the chat real quick. So Ray Rico, any parting words on, Midtown businesses that are, ready really to jump back in the game because, hey, life goes on. We know we got to figure this out. And, I look at it this way. If the schools are going back, it's time to really get refocused because,
Yeah.
people are going to have more time to get out here and kind of sort of get back to normal, whatever that means. Right. So any words you'd like to share with small business owners to help them and encourage them to get back in the game and let people know that you are open for business?
Yeah. Again, I want to reiterate that, I know it's tough for folks, but know that other people are going through those similar emotions and those feelings. I think at the end of the day, you need to pick yourself up, dust your shoulders off, and come up with a plan. Whether it be putting pen to paper and writing some ideas down, some pros and cons, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, talk to your peers, talk to your friends and your family. And I don't be afraid to talk to other business owners. I think a lot of folks sometimes are afraid to talk to a competitor or somebody in the same industry as them. Don't be. They're going through the same thing you are. And they're not going to try to steal something from you. They're not going to try to, hopefully they won't if they have integrity. I think that that's a good resource for folks, though. And I think a lot of times people are, um, reluctant to do that because they feel that it may not be wise for someone to bring something up or to ask about something, or it may seem like they're trying to get into somebody's business. I think that others as peers in this group and this community and small business owners, talk to them. I mean, I pick up the phone and call people, I email or I Facebook people,
Yeah.
just if I have questions or I'm just wondering about something. And I think that also keeps that connection open because, hey, they might need something soon, or they might need a resource, or they might want to buy a service that you have, or have a question about something that you're an expert in. Keep that communication open, especially with local folks. Memphis loves Memphis, and we
Yeah.
love our local community. So that's a tight knit thing here, and I think other areas, other cities are not as strong as we are. So keep that bond with folks.
Cool. So network within our communities. So I
Mhm.
have a couple of questions here from the chat. Are websites still the go-to, or has social media replaced static websites utilized by most businesses?
That's a good question. Websites always, I think, are going to be your best option for marketing your business because it's a 24/7 storefront. Social media, while it's very hot right now and there are lots of platforms to help you get your message out, it's split and there's so many different platforms to do so. Also, not everybody's on social media. There may be folks that are on one platform and not on the other, so you're missing your audience. I guess my best advice would be figure out who your audience is. If you have an audience that skews to view social media, find ways to target that audience. And then, your website needs to be first and foremost, I think.
Gotcha. The next question would be, how can Midtown businesses work together to make sure Midtown comes back strong post-COVID?
I think that's a good question too. I think talking to your fellow business owners, engaging in affiliations like this, business associations, chambers, I think are very helpful. Networking with those people, even if it's an email or it's a Facebook ping, or if there's a Facebook group. I'm not sure if there is a Facebook small business group. That may be an opportunity. But I think
An
just,
idea.
yeah, just communicate with your folks and, ask if you don't know somebody and somebody knows somebody, ask them to introduce you. We're really, this is the South. Everybody's, for the most part, friendly here. And
Yeah.
if it's to help you and to make a connection, why not?
Gotcha. Gotcha. How about this one? Do you see small business interest in joint marketing promotions, or do most prefer to go at it on their own due to competition?
That also is a really good question. One of the things that we did purposefully last year when we suffered a great loss in business, we had to cut hours, we had to furlough some staff. And that's always hard for businesses to do because you have pride in taking care of your people, right?
Right.
But one of the things that we did was we learned how to collaborate more with folks because there were other agencies in town that were going through the same thing we were, but the work was still there.
Yeah.
They were anxious about hiring new folks as they got new business because we didn't know how long we were going to have it. So there's definitely room for overlap. There's definitely room for collaboration. And I strongly encourage you to reach out to folks and see if there's a way you can, you know, work together. I mean, if it's combining two recipes to make something really spectacular, I know businesses have done that in restaurants. If it's, you know, collaborating with a builder and someone else, there's several different scenarios you can go that way with, but I think definitely collaboration has really helped our business get over the hump of where we thought we were going to have deficits.
Yeah.
And then again, it's, you know, we're starting to offer things that some of their clients need. And so there's a lot of overlap there too. So yes, I strongly encourage collaborations.
I love collaboration as well. That's one of my favorite things to do. Are you still participating with or working with Mid-South Pride?
We are, yes. We're always involved with Mid-South Pride, especially with Focus and our LGBT community. They have moved it virtually to June this year, which we're excited about. Yeah, we are heavily involved with Mid-South Pride, Out Memphis, Friends for Life, Tennessee Equality Project, lots of other organizations. But yeah, they're a great partner for us.
Good deal. Ray Rico, Freelance. So glad that we're neighbors. Always a pleasure seeing you. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Same here, man. You're welcome. Hey, Midtown Connects will be back on the air March 15th at 2 o'clock. And we're going to learn all the good stuff that's happening with our neighbors over at Rhodes College. So Dr. Marjorie Hobbs will be our special guest. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good rest of the week.